Whether you have watched the critically acclaimed Dragon Ball Z anime or the rip-and-tearing action of Invincible, it is easy to say that the Saiyans and Viltrumites are some of the most powerful alien races in fiction. But how do they compare and contrast? And what were to happen if their capabilities were combined? Since both series deal with planet-conquering warriors that produce incredibly powerful hybrids like Son Gohan, who at some point surpassed his father Son Goku by curb-stomping Cell and Buu, and Invincible, who after enduring extremely tough battles, eventually impressed and reached Omni-Man's power, I thought it would be interesting to analyze the anatomy and biology of both species, their strengths, weaknesses, and try to uncover if such a potent combination would cripple the full potential of either race or create something far superior entirely, a being that may well surpass even the gods themselves. Of course, there will be some slight spoilers for Invincible and Dragon Ball, so without further ado, let's dive right into this. The Saiyans, referred to as monkeys by Frieza, obtained a terrifying reputation due to their ability to conquer planets and extinguish most sentient life in the galaxy, to the point that the number of mortals were quite rare in the cosmos. At first, the Saiyans were very numerous on their homeworld with 10 times the gravity of Earth, called Planet Vegeta, but only a few of them would rise up to become and eventually surpass the legendary Super Saiyan status time and time again. Due to their life energy, Saiyans possess superhuman strength, speed, and flight, and although they don't live much longer than humans, they age much slower and remain in their prime much longer for combat reasons. Thanks to the concept of ki, even the most fodder of the Saiyans were logically capable of destroying countries, continents, and even moons with their energy attacks. Of course, in terms of destructive capacity, the Saiyans like Goku, Vegeta, and Broly will surpass such thresholds time and time again until solar systems, galaxies, universes, and even small multiverses were no longer a boundary. One of the Saiyans' most vital staples that save their ass a lot of times is their Zenkai, which allows them to gain immense boost of power during battle or after recovering from previous engagements. And as such, Saiyans theoretically have no limits or are at least able to break apart walls that seemed out of reach. Although there is no set multiplier for such an adaptation and some were disgustingly huge, like in the Tournament of Power, after Son Goku healed up, he obtained a power boost of well over 33 times in attempts to take down the galactic tyrant Frieza. The anime and manga are inconsistent with this particular feature of the Saiyans, but they have been shown as being able to fight in the outermost part of the Earth's atmosphere, and outright being able to survive in outer space for limited periods of time, like we saw with Kid Goku, no cap, when he took a rabbit to the moon. For the most part though, they cannot do much without a breathable environment as proven by Goku hauling ass to find a spaceship before Namek exploded, or by Prince Vegeta succumbing to the cold vacuum of space after Frieza blew up the Earth. And Frieza does that a lot because he's a little bitch. Transformations, of course, are another huge feature of the Saiyans. By looking at a full moon or a bright enough energy ball with similar radiation, Saiyans can become 10 times stronger thanks to the Uzaru/Great Ape state as long as their tails are intact. Unfortunately, most Saiyans that underwent this transformation lost control and acted out of destructive impulse, literally going apeshit, attacking virtually everything in sight whether or not they were a friend or a foe. Within the canon, only Vegeta, the prince of all Saiyans who possessed prodigious power that eclipsed even his father's, was able to stay in control under this state. Furthermore, Saiyans can greatly amplify their power, durability, and speed by training under several tens and even hundreds of times the gravity of Earth, which allowed Goku and Vegeta to quickly surpass the level that Saiyans were thought to be incapable of, and that Frieza, the Emperor of the universe, feared extremely. By focusing their energy on their back and channeling intense emotions such as anger, or in the case of having an insane amount of SLs, being a Mary Sue, and a high enough base power like with the hybrids Goten and Trunks, a Saiyan can obtain the Golden Super Saiyan state, which multiplies their power by 50 times. Goku and the others eventually surpassed and mastered this form several times. Ascended Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan grades 2 and 3 gave them superior, raw power, but at the cost of increased muscle mass and decreased speed in the latter's case. However, by training even further, once again these guys literally keep getting stronger, Super Saiyan Grade 4, or Full Power Mastered Super Saiyan, allows a Saiyan to use power grander than the normal states and their buffed up variants, but with heavily decreased stamina loss. Thanks to Cell's perfect power that temporarily transcended Frieza's, even those states that surpassed the already legendary status were futile. And by training even further, or by experiencing even more anger, like getting walled by Mei for example, a Saiyan can unlock Super Saiyan 2, a form with twice the power of a Super Saiyan, longer spikes, and lightning. But even after Goku had obtained this evolution, he was still not satisfied and kept pushing his limits while he trained in the afterlife. And he was the only character in the canon to achieve Super Saiyan 3, apart from Gotenks, a long-haired form that helped him go toe-to-toe with Majin Buu, a genocidal pink bubblegum that had wiped out entire galaxies. Despite the form looking cool as f*** and having tremendous energy levels, it drains stamina and energy extremely quickly, even when you are dead. How does that make sense? I don't know, Dragon Ball. Eventually, Goku and Vegeta obtained divine energy that granted them access to a higher dimensional power in the form of the Red Super Saiyan God and the majestic Super Saiyan Blue, a Super Saiyan God with the power of a Super Saiyan, that was originally called Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. You would think that is where their evolution stopped, but no, because Saiyans can surpass their limits and can theoretically keep getting stronger the more they battle. Saitama, eat your heart out. Which is further proven by both Saiyans stacking greater power in the form of Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken and Super Saiyan Blue Evolution. Although these aren't specific to Saiyans and theoretically any race with sufficient training and experience can achieve these pseudo-transformations and techniques, Ultra Instinct and Ultra Ego were also achieved by the godly Saiyans, with Ultra Instinct allowing a being to move and evade most attacks without thinking, and Ultra Ego granting greater power the more damage a person takes, which in a way would greatly benefit a Viltrumite. It was because of this tenacity to become the ultimate fighter that helped Goku surpass and defeat prodigious fighters, legendary masters, and even the gods themselves. This may be more of a Goku and Vegeta thing, I mean they are the main characters, but these two prodigies managed to fight and continuously evolve despite losing a lot of their energy in previous engagements. So even if a Saiyan is running low on fumes, they certainly cannot be unaccounted for. The thing is, the Saiyans, in comparison to Majin Buu, Frieza, or some gods, have inferior stamina, and although they are durable and resilient enough to keep fighting with broken bones and bloody wounds, their bodies cannot endure those levels of trauma for extended periods of time, and they are still susceptible to viruses and lack of oxygen. So how do we remedy these shortcomings? Well, that is where the Viltrumite DNA comes in. Unlike the Saiyans, the Viltrumites were not only conquerors, but they were incredibly intelligent as they developed faster than light travel, they didn't jack it from someone else, medicinal properties hundreds if not thousands of years beyond what humanity has, and they mastered multiple functions of the smart atoms and applied them to their own bodies, allowing them to live and appear young for thousands of years, becoming stronger the older they get. Their stamina is ridiculous because we have seen Omni-Man and Invincible travel across galaxies within a few days and fight entire armies for hours on end without getting tired. Thanks to their highly efficient anatomy, they can extract more oxygen or other vital elements and use it for much longer than one would think, because just one breath can last them for at least 2 weeks. Although a strong enough Saiyan may have a larger energy or stamina pool, a quote-unquote weaker Viltrumite would theoretically have a more efficient and longer-lasting stamina pool. If necessary, they can add or subtract energy from their surroundings into their own bodies to further increment their already nearly impenetrable hide and the stability of their molecular fortress. If you have seen or read Bleach and are acquainted with the Shinigami's rivals, the Quincy's, I guess you could remotely think of this, adaptation to how they can absorb spiritual energy from their environment to craft weapons like swords or bows. Like the Saiyans, by training and surviving intense battles, and there are a lot, a Viltrumite can become stronger and faster, giving them a pseudo-Zenkai in a way, which is how Mark rapidly evolved to the point that even the more experienced Viltrumites had trouble with him, despite having mastered multiple combat styles. It seems that after a Viltrumite gets it on with a human, their offspring inherently have more potential because just within 20 or so years, Mark was able to match and eventually surpass the power of most pure Viltrumites that had been in combat and trained for several millennia, like Omni-Man and Thrag. One stark difference, however, is that as a Viltrumite hybrid ages, their Viltrumite DNA eventually starts overriding the other DNA until the being becomes almost a pure Viltrumite. And this is one aspect that we will come back to. Nolan did imply to his son early on that he had reached the pinnacle of his power, but he likely became stronger, at least a little bit, thanks to his body pushing itself in the Viltrumite War, and due to him being able to somewhat impress Thrag in their final encounter, who had previously mocked him and his royal status. However, Mark notably obtained larger boosts because he was still developing and hadn't reached his full potential. But it is fair to say that even if an adult Viltrumite were to seemingly reach their peak, through extreme circumstances, they can obtain small boosts along the way. As I explained in my Invincible video, which you should check out by the way, smart atoms are molecules that resemble normal atoms, but can adapt and maintain their structure under heavy physical trauma and hazardous conditions like near absolute zero temperatures and the scorching heat of stars, for a considerable amount of time. As with pretty much everything, there is a limit to this threshold, but Viltrumites for the most part are more durable than a standard Saiyan's body without ki, because as we have seen, when a Saiyan is not actively using their power, rocks and even bullets can hurt them. Additionally, Viltrumites can travel and react at massively faster than light speeds by adding additional mass to the point at which they are going while decreasing the mass behind them, and they do this automatically. So baseline, like without ki training, an average Viltrumite is more durable and much faster than the average Saiyan. Of course, if you have seen or read Invincible, you know that the Viltrumites and their opponents constantly get ripped or pierced apart like it's a piñata, like it's Mortal Kombat, right? I mean, we have seen Mark fight and choke out Conquest with his guts spilling out, Omni-Man surviving for some time with a hole in his chest, and Thrag fighting Battle Beast for days with multiple heavy wounds and his intestines literally flopping out. Yeah, the Saiyans have a considerable degree of resistance to fight, despite having critical injuries like we saw with Goku's battle with King Piccolo. But Viltrumites are somewhat superior in the amount of abuse they can take without dying or passing out. Look, Goku is an absolute monster and can take hits like a champ, right? But would you expect him to fight as well if his entire body was burned to a crisp, like Mark had to endure? Or fight with his intestines flopping out for days? Probably not. But when it comes to explosive power, technique, and combat, the Saiyans certainly have the edge. Assuming that the Viltrumite genetics don't wholly overwrite, or they at least take a long time to overwrite the hybrid Saiyan's DNA, what are some things that we could expect from such a fusion? Since a Viltrumite can do more work with less energy, a hybrid would be able to use strenuous transformations and techniques like the standard Super Saiyan, the Kaioken boost which multiplies one's power by focusing one's heart, and the heavenly Super Saiyan 3 for longer periods of time. And if they were to run out of energy, they could possibly absorb energy from their environment to maintain the form far longer. And I mean, if Goku was able to stack the heart-crushing Kaioken with the godly glow of the Super Saiyan Blue, dare I say that a hybrid would be able to use like a Super Saiyan Blue 3, Kaioken times 20, or whatever, assuming the hybrid underwent through the same training. On the other hand, spaceships would find their use to be lackluster, as a hybrid would be able to casually travel throughout the cosmos with a single gasp of air, and fight in the vacuum of space if their battlefield was to be blown up by a petty bitch like Frieza. Don't get me wrong, it is pretty clear that if Goku or Vegeta really wanted to, they could punch a planet apart or survive being in the heat of a star for a considerable amount of time, but that would usually require them to use their ki. Viltrumites, on the other hand, don't need to directly focus their energy all the time to crack a planet or survive being under hazardous conditions, since their body can do it pretty much automatically. Basically, the hybrid would naturally be able to punch much harder, lift millions of tons, and be more resilient than a Saiyan without ki, if that makes sense. Overall, the Viltrumite aspects would remedy the Saiyans' inability to fight in space, amplify the efficiency of their already immense potential and pools of energy, and allow them to get stronger and train for much longer. While the Saiyans' ki and biological aspects would remedy a Viltrumite's weakness to long heat exposure, their inability to fly properly if their eardrums became damaged, but also increase the threshold of their smart atom's limitations and make them far more durable than ever before. Combine that with their dual adaptation factors, immunity to most elements, and it is safe to say that a hybrid would theoretically become far more powerful and experienced than the average Saiyan or Viltrumite, and perhaps surpass the pinnacle of both races. But yeah, there you guys go. I know this was a strange topic, but I thought it would be interesting because both series deal with hybrids and because their biology would likely fix their shortcomings and enhance their strengths. But yeah, please let me know what you think, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more Dragon Ball Z, Invincible, Bleach, and Godzilla content. Thanks for watching, and peace out.